Welcome to Season 7 of Open Forum in the Villages, Florida. In this show, we talk to leaders of clubs and interesting folks who live in and around the villages. We also talk to people who have information vital to seniors. You will get perspectives of what is happening in the Villages, Florida area. We are a listener-supported podcast. There will be shoutouts for supporters.
This is Mike Roth on Open Forum in the Villages, Florida. And today, we have Kay Branson with us. Thanks for joining me, Kay.
Thank you.
Kay is a retired marketing executive, and she is going to share with us today some information on how to gamble successfully on cruise ships. But before we do that, Kay, why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about your background and experience before you moved to the Villages?
As a marketing director, I had my own software company, and we created software for restaurants, which they now call POS systems.
Okay. And how long have you been living here in the Villages?
I've been living in the Villages approximately 5 years.
And when would you say you took your first cruise?
Oh boy, probably about 20 years ago.
Okay. And how did you come up with the idea of gambling on cruise ships? How did you start?
I started gambling when I was actually about 4 years old. My parents worked at night, and my older brother, who had lived with my father, he babysat us every night. And as those villagers can remember, we didn't have television 24 hours a day. We didn't have cable networks. And so we played games. And our preferred game was poker and blackjack. And at that time, we used poker chips. And we played every night of our lives. When I was about 8 years old, I thought, I'm really good at this. I'm ready to win some money.
So I remember gambling with my friends and cousins at a poker table in the basement of my house.
It was a great bonding experience with my brothers. I begged my brother to take me to a real poker game with his friends. He said, no, you're too young. You can't go. I begged him, and he finally took me. I lost $10. And $10 would be like $1,000 to me. And I lost it very quickly. And of course, being an 8-year-old, I cried. The next day, my brother played this joke with me. And he goes, you're such a great sister. I'm going to give you $1. And I said, thanks. And then a little bit later he says, and I really love you. I'm going to give you another $1. He eventually gave me my whole $10 back. And he said, never, ever gamble unless you can afford to lose it. I did learn that lesson, so I didn't gamble again until I was a complete adult.
Cruise ships.
I was like most new cruisers. You go in and dabble a little bit here and there. I had no idea what I was doing. Eventually, in my business, I got involved in a lawsuit, and it was awful. I was trying to distract myself. Reading, I couldn't read. I'd read the same paragraph over and over again. TV didn't work, but I found that gambling worked. It totally took my mind away from all my problems and issues. I was actually losing less than I was paying my lawyers, so it seemed pretty good.
Lawyers are expensive. Did you develop a system for winning on cruise ships?
Yes, I did. And what I'd like to tell your listeners today, I can actually teach you how to increase your odds of winning. I can't guarantee. And there's one thing I can't do. I can't make you stop when you win. And I can't make you leave the casino. We'll come back to that later.
Those are two very important lessons I learned.
They are the most important. A lot of gamblers develop systems, but I'd like to talk about a few rules before you even go to gamble. Never gamble money that you might need for something else. It has to be expendable income. Second rule, no drinking and gambling. Casinos give you free drinks because they know it will let down your inhibitions, and you'll go crazy.
You make mistakes when you're inebriated.
Absolutely. And now remember that the slot machines, they're computerized, and you have to be very careful where you put your hands and arms. I've seen it many times. People lean on the machine, and all of a sudden they're betting maximum bet, and they wondered where their money went. So don't gamble money you can't afford. No drinking and gambling. Pay attention and watch your bet. Make sure you haven't accidentally pushed another button.
I was taught by one of my partners in Vegas, whose dad built slot machines, that the maximum payout on a machine only happens at 98% or 97% if you hit the maximum bet.
But when you're playing slot machines, always bet all lines. You would hate for that winning combination to be on the one line you didn't bet. The next thing we want to talk about is, how do I actually increase my odds of winning? I've got this big casino, and what do? The amount of the denomination you bet is really important. If you're a new gambler, and this is your first time, we're going to start off with the 1-cent denomination. Now, you're never going to win any big money. Now, I can't say never. You can never say never in gambling because there are anomalies that occur. These are computers. They don't have any feelings, and leave your superstitions at home. Number one, when you go into any casino, on land or on a cruise ship, always use your gambling card. And the way the gambling card works, it's just telling the machine, hey, I'm Kay Branson. It's going to time how much you spend on that machine, and it's going to calculate your average bet. Person next to me is taking their card in and out of the machine. I said, why are you doing that? I get luckier sometimes when I don't have my card in the machine. And I want to say to them, but then they wouldn't sit next to me anymore. That's absolutely ridiculous. It's a computer. It doesn't know how to do that. It doesn't rewrite a new software program every time a new person sits down. The software program is fixed. It's random number generators. Another important thing is, if you're just trying out a machine, you might even put your card in, because it actually devalues your play when you play for short times. It's going by time, again, an average bet. So we're starting off with the 1-cent bet. You might just play around and pick a machine that you enjoy, and that's important. If you're gambling to win money, you need to leave right away. Do something else. Go to a show. You don't gamble to win money. You gamble to enjoy yourself. Now, another thing is, how much money should I bring? If you're going to bring $20, $40, maybe even $100, you need to go to the gift shop and buy some T-shirts and keychains to take home to your friends. That's not enough money for you to be able to get the time for the good stuff to happen on your slot machine. Okay, we're going to start off with most slot machines. They're inventing new ones every day that work differently, but you need to look at the slot machine and look at the payouts. They all now have a mini, a minor, a major, and the grand. Look at that grand and you can see how exciting it is. It'll always be over 10,000. It resets back. So it could be 10,900, 11,000, 12,000, 13,000. Generally, when it's about 13,000, it's ready to hit. But what you will get all the time is the mini. And we're going back to the 1 cent, because this is the basis, and then we're going to get on how to actually win money. But the mini will have its baseline at 10. So when you see it at a 13, 14, it rarely goes to 20 before it hits. And then the minor might start off at 25 or 50. You'll be able to look at the machines that are similar to that, and you'll see, is it 28, 32? And you know that when that gets won, it goes back to 25. But the one that you can win and actually get ahead in gambling is the maxi. Most 1 cent machines reset at 800, but some of them reset at 500. So when you see that thing at 980, it usually, and again, there are no hard and fast rules, but it would usually hit by 1,000. So you pick a machine that looks like there's some things that are ready to pop here. Now,
Picking a machine. My experience may be different than yours because I was taught to play the slots on a poker machine. In those days, in Vegas, you looked for a poker machine that paid on a royal flush 4,500 coins or more. Most of the machines in Vegas were set at that level. A few machines were set a little bit higher. Those were the machines that were most visible. They were at the ends of a carousel or near the check-in desk, especially at Caesars. It was always a serious mistake not to play those machines that were at the ends. Do you find that to be true today?
I know nothing about the poker machines. That's another gambling world completely. What I love about slots, they don't require any skill. They just require discipline. But on cruise ships, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful to the people on cruise ships, those Las Vegas casinos have a complete IT department that can do things. On cruise ships, they get sent those machines and they don't have the technical ability to change the software programs and do things differently. If something goes wrong with the machine, a casino, they simply put it out of order.
Poker machines on a casino ship, the best I've seen is 4,000. In the old days in Vegas, when we were still gambling with silver dollars, and they had a carousel, and there was a lady at the top who would give you change for your 50 or 100. You could ask her which machine hasn't paid off, which machine is hot tonight, and the lady would tell you. More times than not, it was one of those machines on the ends.
A lot of the machines were mechanical. Software now has taken those kinds of things out of play. Again, you're pretty much an expert in software, and software is pretty much fixed. It's the program. But I like to sit in a place that, especially if we're talking about cruise ships, where I'm not going to be bumped all the time, because part of gambling for me is the relaxation and the excitement I can feel. And I don't want to be in an area where I'm constantly being bumped. And it's also not fun to have somebody jump up next to you, sit down again, bump your chair, jump up next to you. So I try to find a little corner where I can have my own little gambling world. That's what I call my very expensive therapy.
But let's take a short break and listen to a Alzheimer's tip from Dr. Craig Curtis.
But all scientists feel, all doctors feel, that you should definitely engage your brain and get involved in crossword puzzles, Sudoku, whatever types of brain stimulation you enjoy, and do it on a regular basis.
With over 20 years of experience studying brain health, Dr. Curtis's goal is to educate the Villages community on how to live a longer, healthier life. To learn more, visit his website, craigcurtismd.com, or call 352-500-5252 to attend a free seminar.
Thank you, Dr. Curtis. We're back with Kay Branson talking about slot machine gambling on ships. In a casino, you prefer machines as opposed to table gambling with live players and decks of cards?
Yes, for relaxation, because in the old days, I did play a lot of poker because casinos were not as crowded. And as in Las Vegas, when you find a nice table, hey, where are you from? Oh, I'm from Washington, D.C. Oh, you're from Florida. Great. And you develop a rapport with the other gamblers, and it's a social experience as well as a gambling experience. On cruise ships, they come and go. It's hectic. You can never get that sense of relaxation and camaraderie that you can at slots.
I found in Vegas that there were shills at the Texas Hold'em table working for the house, and as soon as I figured that out, I stopped gambling on those tables completely. There was no way to win against the shills. Do they have shills in shipboard casinos?
I don't think so, because they're just not that sophisticated. Important distinction about gambling on cruise ships. Gambling in Las Vegas has much better odds for you because they're competing. And a lot of times you'll see on the marquee, we pay back 98%, 97%. No one knows the exact number on the cruise ships, but I would guess it would be around 85, probably not higher than that. And for the viewers that don't gamble, what that means is, conceptually, if I put $100 in that machine and gamble it, I could get $85 back. And machines do win. People say to me all the time, hey, do you actually win? Well, here we're coming to a very important part about gambling. I win every time I go. I win so much that I get W-2 forms that night. But by the time I'm finished, I have nothing. Because all gamblers get so excited by the thrill of the win, and you say to yourself, I won $1,200. I'm just going to gamble $200 of it, and then I'm going to cash out at $1,000. I wished I would have left when I won, because that adrenaline is addictive, and you don't want to stop because it's exciting to say, stop now when I just had this big thrill. As soon as you more than double your money, you need to walk out. Another thing to be careful about is when you're winning and your ticket, let's say that you put in $200 and now your ticket's $400 or $500, take that ticket.
Cash it out.
When you put that ticket in, you go, whoa, I got a lot there. When you have to feed your own money back into the machine, you're more cognizant of the fact that it's real money here. But so you can have the winning pocket and then you can have your gambling money. And for women who have purses, I strongly suggest that you keep the tipping money. You're going to want sodas or water. And if you want the servers to come back, you need to tip them. I've seen it many times where they have their gambling money with their tipping money, and you're reaching in your purse or pocket and you'll drop money on the floor, or you could give the server a big amount of money. So each time I go gambling, I make sure I separate the tip money from the gambling money.
Can you give our listeners another tip aside from playing all the lines on the penny machines?
Yes. We talked a little bit about practice on the one machines to find your groove, what game you enjoy. All right?
What game do you enjoy the most?
Sometimes I don't even remember the names, but I do enjoy the games that have the minis, the minors, the maxis, and the grands. And I have won the grand several times on a cruise ship. When you win the grand, which usually are about $12,000, $13,000, they give it to you in cash. They do not give you a check. And that's a lot of money to be responsible for. But I guess fortunately or unfortunately, it only happens once in a blue moon. And people that go into casinos don't go in there to win. Go in there to enjoy yourself. But what most gamblers want, they want to be able to stay there as long as they can. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the point system, and then we're going to get into how we can win money. But the point system, there's two ways to gamble. There's the gamble to get points and the gamble to win money.
Let's talk about points first.
You can find out from the desk what their point tiers are. And most of them are about 2,000 or 2,500 points to get a free cruise. Now, that means an inside cabin that if you fall asleep, you're going to end up back in Miami, okay? So do you want to get to the next tier level to get a room with a balcony, and that's generally 5,000. Then if you want to get suites, you're talking 7,500 to 10,000. You go, okay, what does a point mean? I can tell you, a point is about $1. So I have a girlfriend that I go with. She's not a gambler. She doesn't gamble for the thrill of gambling like I gamble. She gambles only for the points. I've told her it's much cheaper to buy the cruise than it is to gamble for the points. Mm-hmm. But she enjoys both aspects. You need to find out from your particular casino, because you would hate to leave your gambling experience and only be 100 away from getting a free cruise. When I started, I paid no attention. I just sat down and gambled. I didn't even know there was a level I was supposed to meet. I just thought it was, wow, they like me. They give me free cruises. So you want to find out what the benchmarks are. Even if you only qualify for an inside room with your gambling, you can pay for an upgrade. A lot of people think you have to be a big, huge gambler to get the things. Nope. Casinos are built on regular gamblers. They have $300 or $400 in their purse. They're not built on the $10,000 a day gamblers. Exactly. The people who go on cruises, and the reason they need gamblers that will sit there. Because if you walk to the casino from your show and it was empty, it would be boring. But when you walk through the casino and people are screaming and the excitement is palpable, you want to play. So I consider myself doing them a service when they give me a free cruise.
How many free cruises have you won?
Endless. Every single day on my phone and in the mail, I get a postcard. And so if I didn't have a cat and a dog and want to have another life, I could go on a cruise every week.
Let's take a quick break.
Have you heard about Mature Adults with Donna Hoover and Mike Roth? Yes, this is my second podcast, and Donna and I are going to be addressing subjects which are significant for seniors, especially seniors living here in the villages. The easiest way to hear the show is to look it up on Apple Podcasts. Look for Mature Adults with Donna and Mike. We'll be looking for you there. You can also find us on Mature Adults with Donna and Mike, all spelled out, @buzzsprout.com. Okay, so let's talk about the second strategy. The first strategy was Points. And how do you accumulate points?
Basically, some of these things are secret and nobody really knows, not even the key people in the casinos, but it's basically $1. You're going to get 1 point. And they'll have a running total, and you can look at your machine with your code and see what your total is. You can get a win-loss statement, which is scary when you see a win-loss statement. But let's say that you put $100 in, and through the course of the game, you'd won 100, and then you gambled it. It might say that you lost $300 or $400, but you only put $100 in. So if you're winning and playing moderately, you can really rack up the points. There's a whole system when your game is just about racking up the points. We don't want to do anything reckless. We don't want to go too high, and we don't want to jump from machine to machine. An important thing about timing, we don't know the exact time increment they are judging this on. I would guess it's a half hour, or it could be an hour, but you should pick a machine you enjoy and sit there as long as you can.
So you're suggesting play slow.
Yes.
Don't be hitting that spin button as quickly as you can.
If you started talking to the player next to you and you got really into it and you were ignoring your machine will session out, and it would require, and you don't even know it. So I go, hey, Mike, it was great talking to you. I go back to my game, and you're not playing on your card anymore because it timed you out. You need to constantly be aware that if you're not playing regularly, you'll see panicking players that just push a button real fast and they stop it. You're shortening your time, so you're getting less comps. So go at a leisurely pace and enjoy it. And leave your superstitions at home, because people will say, this machine really paid off. They're all the same software program. It's going to happen with random numbers. There is no machine that's better than the other machine. The one that you won on, you could lose the next day.
Poker machines, I look at, what's that maximum payout? And I love the machines that are more than 4,000. Now they had machines that were paid 8,000 and 10,000.
You made me think of another really important point about maximum bet. And on slot machines, there's a 1 bet, a 2 bet, a 3 bet, then it jumps to a 5 bet and a 10 bet. We're going to go back to the 1 cent, which I don't suggest playing unless you're just a newbie and learning what you enjoy. 1 cent would be 88 cents. The 2 bet would be 176. 3 bet would be 264. 5 bet's 440. And the 10 bet's 880, 10 times the first bet. You'll see people sit down and think that I'm not going to get those big rewards unless I play the maximum bet. No. These numbers are not real, but they are giving you a good idea.
So you're concerned with playing the maximum number of lines, not the maximum number of dollars.
Exactly. Very important distinction. And you do not want to play max. This is an example. This is not a true statement, but it gives you an idea what I'm trying to say. The lowest bet is designed to have the most play. You go, what is the most play? Fun things happening, bonus rounds. And it will happen very frequently. And I would say 1 out of every 10 pushes of the button. The payoff is so minimal. $6, $8, $9, who cares? And then, so the sweet spot on low value games is the second and third bet. If you bet the max, 880, the 1 would be 1 out of 10, the 2 would be 1 out of 20, the 3 would be 1 out of 30, the 5 would be 1 out of 50. Now the 10 bet, you're only going to get that bonus game once out of 100. You've already lost so much money, it's difficult to recoup your winnings. But if you stay at the 2 and the 3, you can win enough that you can say, hey, I won $80. Now I can stop. I won.
You're saying the penny machines are for beginners.
Yes.
Okay, you're not a beginner.
No.
What machine do you play?
When I'm trying out a new game, I always do at least 2 cents because the winnings are so insignificant. But an important thing, if you have enough money with you to weather out the hard times, I would like the 5 cent or 10 cent. Now, this is a very important thing. People see 5 cents and think, oh, it's 5 cents. No, it's not 5 cents. It's 5 times 88, because there's 88 lines there. And I've seen people put a $100 bill and say, oh, I'm going to pay the 25 cents. And in 4 pushes of the button, what happened to my money? No, but here again, remember the rule about the most play? most fun things and bonus rounds happening on the low bet. So when we're trying to actually win some money, you should play the 5 or the 10-cent bet, and this time never go beyond 1. And because the most action happens at the lowest bet, but now that we've changed our denominator to, like on the 10-cent bet, $8.80, if we get one win, we could get $500-$600. And then if you wanted to actually win money, you'd stop, go to your room and say, yeah, that was great, but you won't.
And what's the most you've ever walked away from a casino on a ship with?
About 12,000.
Okay. And how many times did you get into that area more than 10,000?
Twice.
Twice.
And I gamble every month. So those things, when you hear, oh, my friend won this much and my friend won this much, those are anomalies and they are not going to occur. So what's our first rule of gambling? Gamble because you enjoy it and you want to have fun. And do not gamble if you're lonely or upset. This is a key psychological reason because
You'll make mistakes.
Your brain's looking for that high, that endorphin, to get rid of the feeling. You really need to go to the casino when you're well-rested, not drunk, in a good mood.
Okay. And you said go to the casino with money that you feel is disposable, that you don't care whether or not you win or lose.
Gamblers lie about everything. Even the most honest person with the highest integrity, they lie. They're embarrassed to say how much they gamble. And people take pictures of their winnings all the time. In the old days, if you had a camera in the casino, they would grab that thing away from you. But they can't control it with the phones, so we all take pictures of our big winnings. And when you show them to your friends, they go, wow, you win all the time. You win all the time. And I go, yeah, because I don't take pictures of all the money I lost.
How much money do you put into the, I can gamble with this amount of money on a 5-day cruise?
Most gamblers will allot $1,000 a day, $2,000 a day. Gamblers are tiered just like your loyalty programs are tiered for the number of nights you spend on a cruise ship. There also is a second tier for gamblers, and then they give you some benefits. You never have to go to an ATM. You can charge to your room without ever getting up and paying a fee. So if you brought $500 down and said, this is all I'm going to gamble, you can easily punch in your 4-digit code and put another phone there, and there's no charge. Scary enough, they'll give you $5,000 a day to charge to your room. So again, you have to have discipline. I can afford to lose money, but I would feel ashamed of myself to lose great deals of money. I usually budget about $1,000 a day, and when I'm tired of gambling, I take my ticket and put it in my purse, and that's my startup for the next day. When I leave the casino, I have a ticket with money on it. That's a good day because I have my start off. And they'll tell you on the last day, make sure you look in your safe and your purse and your pockets for all your tickets to cash in, because if not, you're going home with a very expensive souvenir. And I just found a $300 voucher in my purse that I didn't turn in. So that's a $300 piece of paper.
Kay, can you give our listeners one of your best tips for gambling on a ship?
My best tip is to leave when you win. And hopefully, the best thing that can happen to you is that you win after you've lost money. Then you're so darn happy to win your money back, you'll jump up and leave.
Kay, one last question. If you could give some advice to the 20-year-old Kay Branson, based on your knowledge today, what would you say to her?
Don't waste your money on penny slots. Very few people win the big money. Gamble just to enjoy yourself.
Great. Thanks for being a guest today, Kay.
Thank you so much.
This is Mike Roth. Listeners, I'm thrilled to share with you this podcast, which is my passion project to bring knowledge, inspiration, and things you need to know about the villages and the people living here. Be sure to hit the follow button to get the newest episode each week. Or you can hit the purple supporter box. Even a small donation of $3 to $10 a month makes a big difference. And you can cancel your subscription at any time. Your support means the world to us.
Remember, our next episode will be released next Friday at 9 a.m. Should you want to become a major supporter of the show or have questions, please contact us at mike@rothvoice.com. This is a shout out for supporters: Tweet Coleman, Ed Williams, Dwayne Romick, Paul Sorgan and Dr. Craig Curtis at K2 in the Villages. We will be hearing more from Dr. Curtis with short Alzheimer's tips each week. If you know someone who should be on the show, contact us at mike@rothvoice.com. The way our show grows is with your help. Text your friends about this show if you enjoyed listening, or just tell your friends about the show. We thank everyone for listening. The content of the show is copyrighted by Roth Voice 2025. All rights reserved.